When I think about the theater department, really three words come to mind. One is talent, two is hard work, and three is pride. Um, this theater department is so talented, from cast and crew to director Mr. Goff. The hard work that I see happening, both in front of an audience, but most importantly, when the audience isn't there, is incredible. And lastly, just the pride that this little school that started 3 years ago produced the sort of talent and hard work that created the productions that we've seen these first 3 years, is beyond my wildest dreams. So proud of the theater department, every student that's taken part, Mr. Goff for all the work he's put in, Miss Baldino in the musical, Mr. Zander, and Blake for the musicals as well. Just a talented, hardworking group of people that we are all proud of. Great job, theater.
My favorite musical is probably Mamma Mia. I love that musical. It's always been my favorite. My favorite Shakespeare show, I would say, is Taming of the Shrew. I really enjoyed being in The Odd Couple. That was a really fun show to be a part of. Just a great cast and just a great experience. But I really liked the final product of Much Ado About Nothing. So that was a really good show. Um, my favorite scene in that show was the interrogation scene with Dogberry and Burgess and all the Watchmen, and that was really funny.
So right now, I think my favorite musical is definitely a tie between Addams Family and Newsies. I love them. And the favorite show that I've been in at Mountainside is definitely Into the Woods. I played Cinderella, and it's been one of my dream roles for such a long time, and it was so amazing to be able to bring that to life on stage, and it was such a dream come true for me. And my favorite scene from Into the Woods was definitely Your Fault. It was so funny because me and so many of my friends were just trying to work it out and struggle through the really hard piece of music, but when we got it, it was awesome, and it was so much fun.
My favorite show has been The Man Who Came to Dinner because I stage managed for that show, and that was just a really fun role for me to have. My favorite scene, like all throughout my time at Mountainside Theatre, has probably been a lot of scenes from See How They Run, specifically like the boys on the couch scene. That was just really fun.
My favorite show had to be Wicked because it was one of the first shows I've ever seen on Broadway, and I instantly fell in love with the cast. My favorite show that I've personally been in had to be Into the Woods because that's the only show I've ever tried out for / been in. And my favorite scene from that show had to be Agony because Jaheim would push Cooper off the stage, and it was the funniest thing. I would crack up laughing just because of how the characters reacted to each other, and it was just pretty great. I love the characters.
My favorite show that I've been involved in here at Mountainside is probably See How They Run, because I really liked the job I had for that show.
My favorite show, I actually don't have a favorite play because I don't read a lot of them, but I did read something called Gruesome Playground Injuries a couple of days ago that I thought was really fun, so there's that. And my favorite musical, however, I definitely have. That one is A Chorus Line. I want to be in A Chorus Line, and I love the music, and I just really love that show, so that's my favorite show. My favorite show that I've been in, actually, is probably Much Ado About Nothing. I love that show. I loved the experience. It was so much fun. The character I played was amazing. So that's my favorite show that I've been in. And let's see, my favorite scene from that show is definitely the show-off between, the showdown between Benedict and Beatrice when she finds out that Claudio no longer wants to marry her cousin and like leaves her at the altar. It's very dramatic. And she has this like showdown with Benedict where she's like, if you really love me, you will show me by killing Claudio. And that whole sequence is really, really, really emotional and very much like a journey that she goes on within that whole scene. And it was just really, really fun to do with Evan. So that's definitely my favorite scene. Let's see, what's the next thing? Jump cut.
My favorite show and musical. That is a loaded question. There's so many good things out there. And of course, some of it is what have I been in, what have I directed, what have I seen. Some of them cross, some of them are very different. Favorite, okay, well, I see you split it up too, so I'm going to answer it two different ways. So my favorite show and musical, I'm going to answer that as things that I've seen. So my favorite show, I think that I have seen, play that I have seen, is probably, wow, that's tough. There's a couple. There's a show called Lend Me a Tenor, which I have seen and been in, that I love. It's so funny and fast and just great. Much Ado About Nothing remains one of my all-time favorite pieces of theater. It's just beautiful. Musicals, my favorite musical that I have seen, I think there may be a couple things. It's hard not to be blown away by everything that Hamilton was. When that came through Portland, that was amazing. Just amazing. The sheer spectacle is unbelievable. Music is amazing. All of the writing, the staging, the juxtaposition of time period and music style, unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. The other one that I would have to say comes close is probably Book of Mormon, just because it's so funny. So funny. That I've been in. The best play I think that I've been in, wow, probably Lend Me a Tenor. And then the best, there's also a one act that I was in college that was phenomenal. It was called The Line That Picked Up 1,000 Babes and How It Can Work for You. And it is just as ridiculous as it sounds. And it's a one act. It's a pretty long one act, but it's a one act. And the favorite musical that I've been in, well, I think there's only one that ended up like actually physically on me. It says, when you're a jet all the way. That was from when I was in West Side Story, which is probably the favorite musical I've been in. But there's so many great ones that I've gotten to be a part of that were just amazing. The Producers was an amazing one to be a part of. Beauty and the Beast was great. I Love You, You're Perfect Now, Change was so much fun. But I think is the best one that my favorite one that I was ever in was probably West Side Story, because I think that was when I felt the most accomplished as a performer, because that show is a beast of a show. It's big and very challenging, between the singing and the dancing and a lot of acting that goes into it, a lot of very heavy acting that goes into it, and I think that was probably where I felt the most accomplished. Favorite scene my favorite scene of West Side Story had to be the Rumble, because it's such a climactic moment, and while I did get killed in the Rumble, I was Riff. That's part of it, because I mean the guy who was my Bernardo, he's the guy I was supposed to hate more than anybody in the world in the musical, but like backstage we were so close, and we were such buddies, and constantly laughing and having so much fun with one another. We choreographed the fight ourselves. We had someone who was supposed to come in and choreo the fight with us, and she basically ended up, once we started, it was kind of him and me doing pretty much everything, and she just kind of went, you know what, you guys do it. You guys totally got this. So we choreographed this fight, and it was ranging, and it was there was a lot that happened, and it took the audience in a lot of different places, and I still remember one of the performances, the way that show runs, that particular scene runs. They show up to this play. They're supposed to have this fight. The two people who are going to start to fight get there. Then Tony runs in to try to break things up, because he promised Maria he was going to stop the fight, and tries to get Bernardo to shake his hand and bury the hatchet and everything. And Bernardo starts using it basically to call him a chicken, and to show him tell him what a coward he is, because he wouldn't face him. And everyone on the Jet side keeps yelling at Tony to not take this, because the Tony they know is tougher than anything, wouldn't take it wouldn't take anything from anybody. And here he is listening to all this guy say all these terrible things about him. And Riff, my character, at some point just has enough, jumps in and just clocks Bernardo, and that's what starts the big knife fight. And what I remember from that is there were a couple performances where the theater we were performing in, that you could pretty clearly see the people in the front row. And more than a few times there were some people in the front row who did not see that coming. And I remember very, very clearly one night when I jumped in, squared up to Bernardo, and came across and punched him. He falls down after he takes the hit, and I got a clear view of this lady who had been watching, just like rapt the entire time. And when I hit him, she went, "Oh my God," and like physically jumped in her seat. And I had to really stay in the moment at that kind, because I wanted to laugh so hard. It was such a great visceral reaction. I think that's my favorite scene that I've been part of from the musicals. Let's see, you've got to think about, how do you prepare for a student as a student? I'm going to answer this as a director. So how do I prepare? Well, obviously I read the script, and I read it several times. And one of the things that I am very certain of in at least my style of direction, is that I want to know the scene. I want to know the play.
Auditions here at Mountainside Theatre are done by allowing everyone who is auditioning to sit in the audience of the auditorium and watch while their peers go up on stage and perform in front of them.
I've only ever auditioned once, so to prep for that, I practiced my parts, like my monologue and my vocal parts, in front of my family and in front of my friends too. because I wanted their feedback because I've never done this before. And I really feared auditions. I've never tried out for theater because I've always been a choir or a band kid, and I was just nervous that I'd get rejected because I wasn't ever a part of their community. But theater kids are really supportive, and their community is amazing.
For auditions, I usually practice a lot at home, just memorization, and I try to change things up as much as I can, so I find what's most comfortable for me in the scene. The biggest fear, really, when it comes to auditions is just thinking that you're going to mess up, but the more you practice and the more you memorize, the more comfortable you are. It usually results in you feeling less anxious when it comes to auditions.
Auditions, how did I practice? So I came into the show Much Ado About Nothing knowing exactly what monologue I was doing. I was going to do the Beatrice monologue. It was given to us and I went with the monologues that were given because firstly, I didn't have a lot of experience with heightened Shakespearean language. And secondly, I just was new to the program and I didn't feel like taking a massive risk with a monologue in a language that I didn't quite know how to handle yet would be a good idea. So I came in, memorized, ready, had my script in my hand because I was scared. But that went successful because I got the role that I wanted, which is really cool. I usually prep pretty well for like musical auditions because all of that, I learned every side that was possible for the characters I was going for, and I listened to the album really early, just like regular basic nerdy theater kid stuff. But for the play that we did this fall, I was doing college applications and I almost forgot that it was happening. So I actually, I'd found this monologue online that I was like, okay, this is fine. And then I got to the day of the audition and I was like, this is not it. This ain't it. And so I took a monologue again off of the suggested list and I basically cold read it for my audition, which was not my greatest moment and also not recommended. For the love of all that is holy, don't do that. That was like, this is a terrible example. I'm setting a terrible example. But for all of the other auditions, including Into the Woods, which I did come memorized early, come prepared. I'm not gonna lie, come prepared. If you're not prepared, then you're not showing your best self to the people who are watching. And you always want to show your best self when you're trying to be able to be in a show and do something that you really love. So yeah, please come prepared. I was stupid this year. Don't listen. Don't do what I do. Anyway, let's see. What do you fear about them? Oh my God. Okay, so people ask me this all the time because I have done a lot less auditions than a lot of the people that are in our program, just in general, until like the summer of last year, basically, where I took a whole bunch of auditions for a whole bunch of shows in the summer and blah, blah, blah. But do I still fear them? Yes. The answer quickly is yes. I do still fear them. They still make me nervous. Not for the like coming up part of the audition, like the whole weeks before, the day of, I'm fine, like we're chilling. And then there's only one part of audition sequences that ever scare me, and it is the monologue section. Like, you could ask me to sing, you can ask me to dance, whatever, like I'll do that. My God, if you put me up on stage with only words, like the fear and the pounding in my chest that I feel is dramatic. And so, yes, I still fear them. Why? I don't really know. I think it's because I'm the least comfortable with monologues than I am with singing and, generally falling around on dancing. I mean, it's like you fake it till you make it with dance. And so I feel like a lot of pressure on being able to do monologues correctly when really I'm just like kind of scared of them. What's your favorite audition? My favorite audition? I don't have a favorite audition. No, okay, thinking outside of Mountainside Drama, I did an audition for Rocky Horror Picture Show, in which I was underage and should not have been called back, but I was. And so I did an audition for that, and that was really fun because if you know anything about Rocky Horror Picture Show, you just get to be like crazy and nasty and fun, and it was a good time, and the dance combo was amazing, so that was always fun. Funny stories, I'm not a very funny person. No, I'm kidding. I don't really have any funny stories from auditions because I have the most massive case of audition amnesia ever. I don't remember a single thing about any of the auditions I've taken at Mountainside, like at all. Anything else? No.
Auditions, how do I practice? Well, I
it depends on if I'm going to a like regional theater audition or a school audition, because usually for school auditions they provide like sides for us, and for regionals it's just like you go in there, you sing 1 minute of a song, whatever song you want, you perform your monologue, and you go. But for school, we have assigned size based on what character you're auditioning for. So I learned my sides because I'm not trying to forget the words, even though I have before. And practice the heck out of my monologue and study the show, because you never want to go in there not knowing the show, and that seems obvious, but I know so many people that do that. And just, if you're gonna audition, just know the show. Watch, you can probably find some illegal clip of it on YouTube. You can watch it there. Do I fear them, and why? Yes, I fear them. I mainly fear them, well, no, there are a lot of reasons I fear them. Number one, because I'm afraid I'm not going to be good enough for the part I'm going to get, or I'm going to mess up my monologue, fall on my butt, forget what I'm going to say, just have a panic attack and stop singing. Like, there are a lot of things that could go wrong in an audition. But you just gotta be prepared, and you'll be fine. But I'd say the next reason is like peers like judging you, because like I know at regional auditions it's just like a room of judges, and of course you want them to like you, but I feel like the pressure is on even more when at school auditions, when you have like all of drama club watching you, like all of those really talented teenagers in there watching you. And it's just, honestly, I care too much about what my peers think.
So for auditions, I don't like them that much, or at all actually, because they stress me out and make me nervous and make me feel like I'm gonna fail, which most of the time I don't think I do fail, but I've never had a true good experience with auditions. Ever since Odd Couple, it's just not been good. So from Odd Couple, I switched my monologue at the last minute, like the night before, which was not a good, that was on me, that was not a good idea. For Little Shop, I thought I did fine for the monologue, but singing, it was not that great. For Much Ado, it was decently fine. It was just like, Shakespeare's a new experience for me, so doing that was just, I don't know if I did well or not. And everyone did the same monologue, so I kind of interpreted my monologue a different way than what it actually was supposed to be, which isn't a huge problem, but it's also not the best thing that you could have done, because you should probably study the shows before you actually audition for them. I know what the context of that scene is, which I did not do, which was not great for me. Mattress, I thought I did fine on monologues, but singing, it was not good. I do not ever want to bring that up again. I really hated the singing for auditions for Once Upon a Mattress. See How They Run, that was the one show that I actually felt like I did decent at for monologues. Like, it was not bad, but it wasn't, like, great, but it was good. That's what I thought of it. Then The Man Who Came to Dinner, it wasn't my best monologue. Like, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't, like, great. It wasn't good either that much. It was just kind of in between. It wasn't, like, definitely on my lower side of the performance scale. But then Into the Woods, it was my first time doing a dramatic monologue, so it was kind of a new experience for me, and I thought I did fine. It was like an average one for me, so I was happy with that. And then singing, it was also actually pretty good. I didn't think I did awful, but I didn't think I did I immediately got the role there. Like, I felt like I did as good as I could, and it paid off. So I was kind of happy with that audition. Um,
Practice for auditions is just a lot of repetition. That's how I memorize lines best. So if I'm like trying to memorize a monologue or something, I generally just repeat a lot. I'm not usually afraid of auditions because you never really know what to expect. So you just kind of try your best and put everything out there and do the best you can. And you never really know what to expect. So just do the very best that you can.
The regionals acting competition is what a lot of performers look forward to throughout the year.
Hi, I'm Mary Weathers. I'm a junior at Mountainside and I use she, her pronouns. One of my favorite things about doing theater at Mountainside is getting to compete in thespian events that are bigger than just our school, like regionals or state. I've been lucky enough to qualify for state 2 years in a row in duo comedic experience acting at regionals, and both of those years were really an awesome experience to be able to compete in an environment with so many other thespians from other schools. State, my sophomore year, was a lot of fun. All the workshops were really amazing to learn from people with so much experience, and to get to meet other thespians just buying the stupid ducks and trying to find your pairs was a lot of fun. I really loved that Mountainside got to host regionals this year. It was really an awesome experience to have, and I'm super excited to do regionals next year as an STO. So, yeah.
Yeah, regionals was a very stressful time for me because, acting is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm putting it in front of judges who are going to critique the small details of it. So it was a very anxious time for me.
So I've done regionals. This year was my second year of regionals. I didn't do my first ever year because I didn't know what it was and I didn't really want to do it. Then my sophomore year, I did the regionals, and I did this thing called Welcome to the Rock in a small group. And let me just say, that was an experience and not something I want to talk about. So I'll just leave it at that. But my current year, I did regionals, and I did a duo comedic and a small group number. So my duo comedic scene was with Mary Weathers, and it was a really good scene. I really enjoyed that scene, and I liked the way we performed it. And we actually moved on to showcasing at state, which was cool. But then state got canceled, which sucks. But just having the knowledge that we would have gone to perform at state and showcase, or possibly showcase, was extremely cool. And on our scorecards, we got 2 perfect scores, and I think it was 3 points below a perfect score on our final one, which that is so cool to get, because we were so close to getting there, and seeing those scores, I was just so impressed with me and Mary, and I was so happy with it. For my small group number, I was with myself, Anna, Andy, Becca, and Cooper, and it was good. We didn't move on, but I was still actually really extremely proud of our performance for that. We worked hard in it, and it was difficult to find spacing that we thought would work, and blocking out the scene, because it's kind of a song. We did Make Up Your Mind, Catch Me I'm Falling from Next to Normal, and I thought it was a really cool song to block, but it was also difficult at the same time, because you have 3 characters in the main girl's head, and 1 therapist, and the main girl, of course. And it's really difficult because you can't have the therapist touching any of the characters in her mind, and she's just all over the place. It's just kind of difficult to block the spacing of that, but overall, I feel like we accomplished that, and we actually got a compliment about it. And people were like, "You portrayed the character so well." I'm like, "Wait, really?" That was cool to get, and I actually really enjoyed doing that, and I'm glad I did that. Yeah.
Regionals is probably one of my favorite parts of being involved in theater. It's so much fun, and the day of regionals is so exciting because you have people from all around the region, just theater people who are just so excited to be there, and you get to see friends from all over, and just get to show judges something that you've worked on for a while, and so it's a lot of fun. I've done large group acting freshman year, and I did solo acting sophomore, junior, and senior year, and then duo acting comedic junior and senior year. I tend to do Shakespeare and then comedic monologues for my monologues. In the last 2 years for duo acting, I did comedic as well. So I tend to do some comedic stuff just only because it's really fun to do, and then you also get to watch a lot of other funny scenes. So that's really fun because you get to just have a good day and just watch a bunch of other people and laugh, and that's a really good time.
Regionals! Oh god, regionals. How did I feel during the day? Well, depending on the year you asked me. Last year I was so nervous because it was this like new competition I'd never done before. And I don't like surprises and I don't like not knowing what I'm doing. It's kind of like a little pet peeve of mine. I gotta get over it because Lord knows the industry is just stuff thrown at you all day, every day. But how did I feel? I was really scared that time, but then we'd come back this year and it was at Mountainside and it was on home turf and we'd been preparing for a lot longer and a lot more diligent about that preparation. And I was singing something I really loved. I was doing monologues that I really loved. And so I actually was feeling really good. And I remember that day we were running around, you know, on the stairs. We're going up and down those stairs because our rooms are everywhere, and we're checking in with everybody. And everybody's like, yeah, I feel really good. Like nobody felt like soul-crushingly terrible. And then we went and like swept the entire competition. So, you know, I think we were right to feel excited about that. So that was really good. It was a really good feeling that day, and it was a really good time for all of us as a community, I think, also. What did I sing? Oh, my first year I performed Meadowlark from The Baker's Wife, which is a Stephen Schwartz song. And then I did Freedom with Hallie August in the duet category. So I did solo musical theater and duet musical theater that year. And then this year I performed, and I got regional finalist for last year for both of those categories. And then this year I performed in solo musical theater. Again, I sang New York Do You Care from Carter and Gregor's Island Song. And then I did solo acting, which is 2 monologues. So I did a monologue from Clean by Audrey Safali, which is actually the one act that I directed this year for the student directed one acts. I took a monologue from that show. And then I did a monologue for Much Ado About Nothing. I did Beatrice's monologue for Much Ado About Nothing. So 2 texts that I was really, really familiar with and just knew I loved to perform. So I did that event. And then finally I did the small group musical theater event with Andy Bacon, Becca Wheeler, Cooper Garrett, and Danny Crampsey. And we did Catch Me I'm Falling from Next to Normal, which was really, really fun. And I had a really great time doing all of that stuff. So yeah, that's what I performed this year. Let's see.
Once a week, we have Drama Club, a club in which the school's thespian board explains upcoming events surrounding the theater.
So for Drama Club, what I really like about it is the community or the people inside of Drama Club. They're just extremely fun bunch of people to be around. For Drama Club, it's every Thursday, but for most of them, it's mostly every day that I'm around. And they're just extremely fun and humble to be around, and I'm really glad to get to know them and get to work with them every day.
Drama Club. What do I like about it? I like the games and just all of us getting together as a community, and you know, everyone can like contribute. You know, it's like a safe space. I know it's kind of cheesy to say, but it's just like a safe space for us theater kids to just like go nuts, you know? Well, not go nuts, but you know, just like have fun and like be ourselves, you know?
Drama Club is a lot of fun. One of the things I like about it is the community. I know that there's always a certain amount of drama that comes with communities like that, like this one, and that's to be expected. But I also really love watching as people choose to be better than it, work to make sure that it doesn't impact everybody, and make the efforts to include, which really and I make it sound like it's worse than it is. It really isn't that bad as from a drama perspective. I've been in schools where it was like people could barely talk to each other. If there were like I was at a school before. There was the school I came to Mountainside from. It was in Colorado, where early in the year we couldn't have drama club meetings because people would not stop yelling at each other, and it was just so toxic. I basically just said, we're not doing this until y'all can learn to be in a room together and realize that we're all trying to work towards the same thing. So where we are now, I barely notice anything because I've been in such horrible places sometimes, where we had to overcome a heck of a lot more than just some of the typical, they're the typical things that come up in high schools. And the community that we've really started to build at Mountainside has been one of my favorite things in the drama clubs area. There's a lot of love, and people like to have fun and want new people to show up and want to be part of something and have fun with their friends in a way that they can't really do in school, because I do feel like people feel more free at drama club to just kind of be who they are and not have to apologize for it to anybody. And it's always one of the things I've always said about theater kids is they meet a new person and immediately go, new person, let's find out what's weird about them and then tell them what's weird about us, and we can all go be weird together. And that, I think, is probably my favorite part about drama club. I kind of talked about the community.
Get to know stuff, and we had a lot more of a busy year, I think, this year than we did last year, where last year we did a lot of games and lots of stuff, but this year we definitely had some business to attend to as we're coming together as this new company and really making strides towards being able to be a major part of the theater community out here in Beaverton. So I really like it. I think it's a great time. And getting new people is really fun because they're all like, what is happening here? And it's definitely a good time. So hold on, water break. I've been talking for 14 minutes straight. I don't know how I'm gonna send this to you. Sorry, Chase. Okay, let's see here. Personal, how has theater impacted you? How do you done theater? Do you ever want to quit? Okay.
I think what I like about drama club is the community and just being around people with similar passions and interests. And it's a place you can go and just be around a lot of friends and just have a really great time with people that you've gotten close to. And I just really like the community there because I think everyone is very similar but also very different, and you just lots of different experiences, and it's a really great time.
So I want to take a little pause on the documentary, and you see, I was working on a slideshow for, past memories of shows and events, things like that, and I wanted a song for it. I looked for, music I could find for free online, but nothing really sold me on it. So I asked my brother, Xander, see if he would be willing to write an original piece. And he said yes. He asked me what I wanted. I gave him, basic ideas about how I wanted, and he would call me from now and then asking what I thought. And then he was able to get Arcade Heart Productions, a production place over in Florida, to record and produce his song, which we're very thankful for. Thank you. And yeah, it created a wonderful song. I hope you enjoy this slideshow. It's called Vibrant Gray by Xander Rain.
Do you remember when we were kids, jumping around acting all stupid? Oh, I miss when we were younger then. I'd close my eyes and wait for morning. I wanted more than I was living. Now I miss when we were younger then. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. I miss my own face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Hey, do you remember the fireflies? We'd light a fire, smoke in our eyes. Yeah, I miss when we were younger then. We'd stay up all night. Do you remember that life? Oh, the one that we just left behind. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. I miss my own face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Well, there's a crack in your heart, guess we all fall apart. And as the memories fade, this one will stay. Hey, I don't wanna leave, but it's my destiny. For the winds of fortune I cannot change. When most of time is gone, I promise I won't become a face of torment just for you. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. And I don't know this face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Well, there's a crack in your heart, guess we all fall apart. And as the memories fade, this one will stay. Hey.
The theater program here has a big community, causing it hard for some people to join while easy for others. Let's take a look at some of the people's thoughts of the theater community.
It's pretty hard to feel comfortable in the theater community because of how new I am, you know, because there's a bunch of other relationships that have been built over years that are stronger than a lot that I've ever seen. And so every time I interact, it kind of feels like I'm like forcing my way in to the friendships. But, you know, I think that there are some people who are just so nice, you know, and people in communities that are so accepting that it kind of makes all of it worth it.
My favorite part about theater is the people. when I first started to get involved in theater, I was just so surprised about how genuinely nice everybody was. I had no issue feeling comfortable or fitting in at all. Right off the bat, people were coming up to me and trying to get to know me, and everybody I met was really kind and funny, but not afraid to give advice or feedback that would help me. Honestly, I've never met a group of people at school who work so well together and support one another so well, and it's just a group of people that I think I'll not forget for a long time.
So the community, getting into the community for me was not as hard as some other people, I would say, because since I was here since the beginning of the year, since the opening of the program, I knew most of the people in there, and since there was such a small amount of people, I want to say like 16 people, I was able to get to know all of them very fast, and it wasn't difficult to get involved or be included, because since there was little people and we all were friends and we all knew each other, it was very nice. But people in the future, I would say it's more difficult for them because there's a lot more people to introduce yourself to or get to know or become friends with. So I think I had it easy, but I'm glad I got to know those people in the beginning, and as well as all the other people that have joined in later years.
So I've been doing theater for about 5 years now, but I didn't really start getting serious about it until freshman year. And coming in to Little Shop, the musical that we did my freshman year, I honestly had no idea what to expect, but what I found was the greatest group of people and the greatest environment ever. Honestly, I just felt a place where I belonged, and it was so amazing to be surrounded by people who felt the exact same way that I did about the things that we all love. And it's definitely been hard at times. I've definitely wondered, it's been hard to remember why I do what I love when it gets really stressful during the shows or just drama or stuff like that. But then it always comes back to me remembering that I love what I do, and I love the people around me that also love what they do. And it's been such an incredible environment, and I love it so much.
The theater impacts everyone's lives in a certain way. So let's learn how it impacted the people at Mountainside.
So I've been doing theater for, I want to say about 5 years now. I started in my 7th grade year, doing my first ever show, which was Music Man Jr. And I've done theater since then, all the way up to now, to current day. The last show that we did was Into the Woods. And the way theater has impacted me is it's opened up my eyes to something that I'm wanting to try and continue on later in my life. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And the people that I've met throughout this experience are such a great bunch of people. I really enjoy being around them and working with them every day. And it's just a lot of fun doing.
How theater has impacted me. Lot of ways. Lot of ways. When I was younger, I was much more into the athletic side of things. I played baseball since I was in kindergarten. I played basketball for a while. I played a lot of sports. I lettered in tennis when I was in high school, as a matter of fact, and played high school baseball for a couple years. And even so, knowing a lot of those people, I could tell I was still different than them. Weirder, kind of a lot of the things that some of the theater kids tend to notice about themselves before they notice that there's a place for people like us. And it was weird. I think it was my sophomore year of high school. I was, again, planning on being on the baseball team, and was dating somebody at the time, as you do I use this in very much high school terms, high school dating, whose friends were a lot more artsy. So, I went and did some things with them, and they were fun, and I noticed that my personality seemed to get along with a lot of theirs a lot better than it got along with some of the people on the baseball teams or some of the other sports that I had done. And so while I was dating that person, I decided, what the hell, I'll try out for the musical. I'm sure there's no harm in that. It's probably won't get in. I don't know how to sing, and I was at the time definitely not much of a singer. I could recognize a tune. My sister had always been very into choir and music, and yeah, she. I'll talk about her later. She is so. I clear. I guess I was better off than I had expected. I didn't get. It was the Music Man, and I was cast in the chorus. Not much to expect otherwise there, right? And so all right, fine, and enjoyed the experience a lot. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of interesting new people, and some people who also did sports that were also doing the musical and were like loving it. And it's a guy. We were in Tech Week the week before baseball tryouts were happening, and in Music Man, one of the scenes that gets set up is like a town hall in the gym in the small town where they have the town hall meetings. And I was one of the people carrying in one of the couple of platforms that they had to come in and set down so that like the mayor and everybody could be up there. And I was supposed to go in second. And whatever reason, like this was one of our last tech rehearsals. For whatever reason, we were in place. I had my platform, and I realized, wait a minute, we're on first. Why are we on first? We need to move so that the people who are supposed to go on first can get on first. We scooted over, and the people started walking through as I'm holding the platform. I don't know if you can see my hands. As I'm holding the platform, on the outside, so you can kind of see where this is going, and tight spaces in the curtains. And they walked by and slammed their platform right into my hand. And I still have the scar. It's not very big, but and my hands are a little cold, so you probably can't see it. But immediately started bleeding. But I walked in, put my thing down, walked right off stage, and just said to people, I gotta go. Went out into the audience and found the director and was like, ended up having to go to the doctor that night. I don't remember if my mom took me to the hospital or whatnot, but got 3 stitches in my hand. This is my dominant hand. Baseball tryouts were the next week, and so I was told by the doctor, you probably don't want to be throwing a ball at this point, just because you want things to heal, and obviously so. The baseball coach, to their credit at least, let me come to the second week of tryouts. I went to a ridiculously big school. You think Mountainside is big? Where I went to high school has at least twice as many students currently. It was a school of about 4,000 kids, and we have 5-6 buildings on the campus. So when we have tryouts for anything, it's a massive showing. It's a big to-do. So they let me come to the second week of tryouts after a lot of initial cuts had been made because they knew that. But I didn't make the baseball team that particular year, and that was my sophomore year. And kind of went along with it going, well, all right, now what? Because baseball really had been my life up to that point. I loved baseball, and now I didn't have anything to do in the spring. So I kind of thought about it and went, well, I really enjoyed the musical, and I enjoyed the singing. Maybe I should try to be in some of the choirs, and auditioned for some of the choirs, and apparently I wasn't as bad at singing as I thought. I had started taking a few voice lessons as well in the meantime, just to try to get a hold on things. But I made most of the audition choirs, and it was very surprising to me that that happened. It was surprising to my whole family as well. They're like, really? And from there, it kind of went. We kind of just snowballed. So the theater and music and all of that really kind of, I'd say, helped show me who I actually was, um, which was great. Um,
How has theater impacted me? Well, what do we say to that? I mean, theater is a relatively new thing for my life. To switch to a question that you have after this, I've only been doing it for 2.5 years, so it's kind of something that I'm still learning and still growing every single day, and I never feel tired of it because I'm still so new at it and there's still so many things to explore all the time. And so I think it's really impacted my life in a really positive way. I have something that I'm passionate about and something that I just love to do all the time. And it gives me a really strong sense of purpose. And more than that, it's now my major in college. So like it's affected a really big part of my life path and my life plan. And it's something that has made me a better person, I think, most importantly. I feel like I'm better with collaborating with other people. I have a better way of being able to learn to like love every part of every person, because in theater you see every part of every person because you have to, because you're laying it all on the line. You're trusting each other to put on this crazy show that with kids that have a billion years of experience or no experience, and you just have to trust each other and learn. And so I think that kind of collaboration really is an amazing breeding ground for kinder people and people who are more understanding of each other, and people who, yes, you have issues, because there's issues everywhere, no matter where you go, no matter what kind of set of people you have, but it's issues you have to work with and work around and work together. And so I think it's a really good place of understanding this thing that we call that, like this thing of like tolerance. You don't have to accept everybody in theater. I mean, you should, but like you don't have to accept every single part of every single person there, but you have to collaborate and you have to tolerate each other and you have to trust each other. And so I think that's a really big personal impact, is my ability to trust people and to collaborate has been really positively impacted.
There were a couple times I definitely wanted to quit. Yeah, I think, yeah. Maybe not theater so much, but I definitely hit a point where I wanted to quit teaching, which was hard because even even before I really got to college, I think I had kind of figured out that I wanted to teach and I wanted to be a teacher. And I can get into that story later, but the teaching world is not kind to arts teachers a lot of the time, and you spend your nights dreaming of a situation like I now have at Mountainside, but it takes a long time to get there, and you got to be really, really lucky in order to get it. So it's I spent the first 5 years of my teaching career at 4 different schools, and the first one, it was a part-time job, so I didn't have a full load of classes. It was a fairly new school out in Bend, and at the time it was like 7 years old, but they had gotten some things established. Pretty nice space. I really did not get along with the people who taught in the arts department there, and I was also very young, and I did not help the situation for sure, but it was a pretty toxic place to work, and that in and of itself almost drove me out of teaching. But I found another job in New Mexico, pretty darn far away, where I struggled that first year in New Mexico. I spent 2 years. It's the only place I spent more than 1 year at, other than Mountainside. And it was hard that first year, but we got to a point where we understood each other and where we respected what was happening, and we were very much on the same team. And that just got to a point where the district, there was a lot of news stories about that district where there was suddenly no money anywhere, and the writing was on the wall. The year I left that school, I want to say close to half the teachers in the entire district chose to leave. And then I was at two different schools in Colorado Springs on consecutive years that had some continuity issues with their teachers, where I was like the third teacher in 2 years, or the fourth teacher in 2 years, which naturally hurts your numbers. And even though they had told me, both these places told me when they hired me that they wanted me to come back and rebuild the program after 1 year and declined numbers, which, they cut the programs. And after that 5th year, we had just had our second child. I was convinced there wasn't a place for me teaching. So it was really, really hard, but it came at a decent time as well. We just had our second child, and my wife was getting ready to start her teaching career. So I took 3 years as stay-at-home dad for our youngest, and that was hard, but it was also a wonderful time that I would never change trade for anything. A lot of dads don't get that time with their kids, and I got a lot of really amazing moments with my daughter that I truly cherish and loved a lot. It was by the time the 3rd year came along, it was clear that she needed more than just to be at home with dad. So I started looking for different jobs, trying to think about different things. I was so burnt out on the idea of teaching. I had said to multiple people that I would never go back. That there just wasn't a place for arts teachers anymore. I would find something else to do during the day, and I would still do theater at some point during the nights, because I still wanted to perform and I still loved theater. And that was a very challenging and pretty dark time in my life. Yeah, I won't go into too much detail, but it was hard. So that's, pretty much why I felt like I wanted to quit at some point. But there came a point where, after I'd tried a few other things, just needed to do something. So I know, and we were living with my parents at the time, and my mom was working where I went to high school, and she was always complaining about how they needed substitutes. So I said, okay, well, it's a way for me to get a little bit of money, so I'll get my license back up and running. And she said she could pretty much guarantee me work, and I had plenty of work substituting, and it was interesting. I got into the school again, and in front of classes, and even though they weren't mine, and even though I was substituting them, I just kind of had one of those moments of, oh, right, that's why I like this. So kept going.
Did I ever want to quit? Yes. There was this summer. So I did a 7-week run of a show. It was my second show ever, and I got picked up for a semi-professional run of Sister Act the Musical out in Lake Oswego, and I did 7 weeks of shows. So that's a month and a half and a little bit extra of shows, and I did shows, multiple shows a week for all of those weeks without much of a break. I was still a sophomore in high school. I was still doing school. I was still playing a sport, and I just burned out like nobody's business. Like, didn't look at a sheet of music the whole summer, like take a dance class. Like, I did nothing for an entire summer, and I was just so tired, and I didn't have this work-life balance thing that everybody talks about all the time. And so I was really close to quitting, and then I transferred to Mountainside, and I figured out that you don't have to do 7-week shows. You can have just as much love and passion for theater at school and working with your schoolmates, and you don't have to be in professional productions all the time. And so that was probably the closest time I ever came to quitting. I've never been bothered by theater squabbles, if you know what I mean, stuff that happens in the theater that people get mad about and quit. I've never had much issues with those kind of things. So yeah, usually, so that was the one time that I ever really thought about quitting, but I think it was a good lesson to learn on work-life balance and keeping it together.
Has there ever been a moment I've ever wanted to quit? I would say there's been a doubt in my mind if I wanted to audition for a show. I wouldn't say quit theater as a whole. I would just say there's been a doubt where I'm like, I don't really know if I want to audition for the show, or if I actually should audition, which, as you can tell, I haven't not auditioned for any of the shows, so I'm committed to doing this, and it's something I really enjoy doing, because I feel like if I weren't to audition, and there would be nothing for me to do outside, because I don't do anything else, so it usually fills up my time, which, yes, it's a lot of time, but it's a lot of time doing something that I actually enjoy doing, so.
Jumping around acting all stupid. Oh, I miss when we were younger then. I'd close my eyes and wait for morning. I wanted more than I was living. Now I miss when we were younger then. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. I miss my own face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Fireflies would light a fire, smoke in our eyes. Yeah, I miss when we were younger then. We'd stay up all night. Do you remember that life? Oh, the one that we just left behind. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. I miss my own face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Well, there's a crack in your heart, guess we all fall apart. And as the memories fade, this one will stay. I don't wanna leave, but it's my destiny. For the winds of fortune I cannot change. Most of time is gone, I promise I won't become a face of torment just for you. But I guess it's just like they say, that all the colors will turn gray. And I don't know this face in the blink of an eye. Another year goes by, and as the memories fade, this one will stay. Well, there's a crack in your heart, guess we all fall apart. And as the memories fade, this one will stay.